Hello, good morning. This is what we're going to have a go at today, the Acacia cross body bag. In this section, when you put right size together, you just baste 1/8 of an inch. That's basted on. And this is 1.5 inches down from the top. So then what you need to do is take your exterior front zipper pocket lining, and once you've basted your, this is how your zipper would look once you've basted it on, which is you've basted it on that way, right size together, then you put your right size down with your onto the wrong side of your zipper. Make sure that you're level at the sides, both sides, and across the top, and then that one is 1/4 of an inch. And then you should have a sandwich. And then put your lining down the back so that they're wrong size together. And then top stitch, which is 1/8 of an inch. And I always put my zipper foot actually on the zip and then move my needle across. And hopefully I use the top line there to give me a proper 1/8 of an inch seam. So that's the first bit done with the top stitch and the zipper and the lining. So once you've got to that, turn it over and fold it up, and making sure that you keep this level at the side and level across the top, and then clip it in. And then this is going to be basted, making sure it's still level all at the sides and level across the top, clip, and that's going to be basted 1/8 of an inch. So then you've got it basted on 1/8 of an inch, as long as it's not 1/4. Oh, that's not sewn in. Oh, it does. Oh, I got worried there. Anyway, that's sewn in. There you go, and that's sewn in. So then next you need your exterior top, and then you put the right size together to turn it over, so that the bit that you haven't got the fleece or the deckerville light, wherever you're using, is not in your seam allowance to make it slimmer. Pin that together and sew that 1/4 of an inch all the way across the top. Right, I'll double check the paperwork, and this bit is either a 3/8 of an inch or 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. And let's just see if the top stitch along the zipper with 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. There's the top stitching for the top section. There you go. Right, this time I am going to do a longer stitch, and I'll put it on 4.5. I want to baste the ends of both sides of my zip, plus just past the lining. And be careful when you go across your zip. If not, crank it by hand. Just to get past that bit. That's it. It all depends what type of zip you got. I've got a chunky one. So it's basting, so as long as it's less than 1/4 or 3/8. So round the corner, 1/8 of an inch if possible. And just go past your lining, secure your stitch. And that's And this is the first time I'm using a Teflon foot with vinyl, and so far it's sliding over lovely. And then to cut this section off, because you know it's nice and secure underneath, it's not going to move anywhere. And then that gets rid of your bulk and makes your pocket into the same shape as the front of your bag. There you go. So cut all your ends up. Because and then you take your flap, and there should be 2 pieces, a lining and your front. I'm using this as my front, and because I'm on a domestic, I yet again cut the fleece lower than the top because I want to keep the bulk down because of the domestic machine. So I've got 2 contrasting. Basically, instead of that being on top and that being underneath, so they like that, I'm going to have it the other way round. So I've basically got a contrast coming over the top of the bag just like that, and then it'll fit to the back, and that's the way I wish mine to be. So you need your 2 flaps, and then I think we may fit. Let me just check. So in this bit is I folded it in half and found the centre down the bottom. This is the bit that if you look at, there's your front, that's where your female bits are. Now we're going to put the male on, so therefore when it comes over the bag it should be that way, like that, obviously then with the front attached. So this is the bit it's got to go on. So therefore 1.5 inches up from the pointy end up, find the centre line and then mark. If you're using one of these, this is the male side, and you do, this is what you did for your front. Find the centre, 1.5 inches up in the centre of the flap. Make sure these are straight, and that's your centre, and mark. So you've got your hole on your centre there, then you do the 2 marks at the side. So how you do yours is up to you, but be very careful if you use one of these, because you could slip just like that. So you need to turn this from the front, find the holes that these go in, which is, and then that one, if you look at what you're doing, that should go like that. Put this on the top and then press them down. Now use a piece of fleece to come over the top to stop it from rubbing onto your lining. So I've just ironed on a piece of fleece over the top at the back, and that's so the lining, all these prongs at the side, don't dig into anywhere. And obviously now we've got to do right sides together and sew it all the way around. Follow that from the edge again. So I've got a double sewing. I didn't have to have that. 3/8 of an inch, that seam allowance. And then cut it with pinking shears to reduce the bulk. And then turn it through. It all depends what you're using. Roll it in between your fingers to get it straight. And that's your flap, which then, as you can see, mine will fit on that way, like so. Right, so then I think we top stitch. So in this section we top stitch the flap. Obviously this is my top fabric that I'm going to see, so I want to make sure that my black doesn't show, so make sure you roll it and then clip to make sure that nothing's showing on the top. I've lengthened my stitch to 4. There you go, that's my flap sewn all the way around. Using an 1/8 of an inch, make sure this one is an 1/8 of an inch because it's across the top. I am going to level mine off, actually, my fabric's moved, so I'm going to level mine off. That's it, make sure it's straight across the top. And then do that an 1/8 of an inch. So this time I've got to do it on a different place. That's it. That's all I need. Just to keep the top together. It doesn't have to be straight as long as it's less than the seam allowance. The bit I was worried about was all on the outside. As long as that looks level, I'm happy with that, and that's what it looks like. For this section you need your finished flap, your other remaining top that we used on the other one, that's your last one, and your exterior back bottom. Again, every time I've used fleece, because of the thickness, I've always made sure it's been lower, including this, even when it doesn't say. And basically you find the centre of each one and very carefully just clip a little tiny bit. Don't take too much off, just so you know where the centre is on all 3. So that's 1. Remember that this bit is the one that goes into this seam that we're doing, so this is the top bit that you need to find the centre of. Only a little tiny bit, just so you can see a little dip. And this one. And there you go, little tiny dip. So using the remaining top panel, you've now basted the other side. Then right side together with your bottom panel and your top panel. Forget where your flap is because you might have a different colour. So it's right sides together, bottom and top, 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. Make sure that you go backwards and forwards on this one. Now because I'm going to reduce mine to 3.5, this is really thick. So again, you're creating a sandwich. There you go. So if that's your, always check as you go along, then you've got less to undo. If that's your front panel and this is your back panel, which then will end up like that with your bits in between, that then should come over that way, and that's the way I want it. I want the contrasting fabric on that way. So I've so far done that correct, so that's what it should look like. You should have a sandwich like that. Okay, right, so this is what you've got your sandwich. Lift your flap up. Okay, so and then you've got your flap this side, your bottom panel this side, with your top panel on the side of your flap. Your underneath then should be going down that way, your seam that way, and then you're going to 1/8 of an inch stitch and that's that one top stitched all the way across there. And as you can see, it's really neat because I kept it the same distance. And then that's what you've got. Again, look, that's your back panel, that's your front panel, back panel, and when that comes over it fits that way, and obviously them two will go together like that, and then that comes over. So keep checking as you go along all the time to make sure that you're doing it the right way. So now we're going to do the zip. This is your interior zipper pocket. This is your facing panel, which it says interior zipper pocket facing. So on the wrong side, measure 3/4 of an inch in from one side. Turn it round and measure 3/4 of an inch in from the other side. That should leave in the middle of the rectangle, should be, that should, I think, be 3/8 of an inch. So it's 1, 2 and 3, yes it is. So in the middle, I'm going to have to measure this one. Just need to guess this one. In the middle, draw a line. Three-quarters of an inch in from this side on the end. Across. 3/4 of an inch from this side. Go across. So all from this centre bit here supposed to be in by 3/4 of an inch on all sides, and then draw triangles. There you go, into each corner. So you've basically got this 3/4, 3/4, 3/4, 3/4, line down the middle, and then draw a line. The line in the middle is your cut line. So next you take your interior zipper pocket lining, which is this one. Take your zipper. Again, I'm still using a matching zipper. The other one was 10 inch, this is 7. This right side up, this right side up, and then 1/4 inch seam allowance across the top. So once you've done that, and then that's the way it was, so you've got right side up on that zipper, and obviously you want to turn that in and press. Then you're going to have your next one right side up, and your zipper again is going to be right side up, but obviously this is going to be right sides together. And you do the same again as what you did before, making sure that these sides are level and the top's level, and then clip, and then again do 1/4 inch seam allowance, and your side should be level all the way around. In fact, if you do clip your side just there, it helps to keep the top level as well. That's it. So 1/4 inch seam allowance, there you go. If you close your zip, then you've got a sandwich in the middle with 2 zipper panels. So that's that done. I don't know yet which, but I suppose it's got to go out, isn't it? So that, because that's fabric, that can be pressed out. So just to recap, there's your zipper pockets should be wrong side up, and your zipper right side up. So don't worry if you've got that way round, that's right. So that you've done the zipper panel, so far so good. Take one of these, which is one of the lining panels. You need to draw a line. When I can find my ruler, there it is, 3/4 inch down from the top. Just get it right where I need it to be. That's there. Just a rough line, don't need it too hard to find the centre. Because this is just fabric, that should leave its mark. Find the centre of your zipper facing panel, 3/4 inch from the top. If you put them together like that, so on the right side I'm going to pin at the top edge of the interior zipper facing panel, 3/4 from the top, right side down and centered, which what we have done. Find the center, 3/4 inch down, and then pin. Now if you're using a thicker fabric, then I should use 1/4 inch tape if you wished, to make sure it's not going to move. Anyway, that's not going to move, look. And then I should imagine it's so along the lines. So in a zipper panel, in a zipper, you start at one about here, all the way around, little box all the way across and back to where you started, just on them outside 3/8 inch box there. I'd reduce your stitch to a 2.5 if you increased it earlier. Change your foot back to your ordinary foot. Right, and that's what you should have. Right, so once you're sewn all the way around, then you take your ruler, go into that centre line from V to V with something sharp. Don't go all the way to the ends because you won't make it with the roller cutter, but you will make it with scissors. Go to the V and then cut from the V to the outside, but do not cut through your stitches. To the corners, but not to your stitches. Get as close as you dare. If you go wrong, you'll have to start all over again, so err on the side of caution. You can always go back out and do it again. You can always turn it back around or through and cut it a little bit more if it's not right. That's what I meant to say. Then push it through like a letterbox. You're posting through your letterbox. That's what you're doing. But you should be able to get it flattish. So anyway, I'm going to have a go at ironing it and we'll come back. Right, I decided to use tape because with the pins I couldn't get it to lie flat. So hopefully with this way we should be able. Now keep in mind you've still got the crease to line up to make it centre. Do the bottom one, I should imagine, first. Right, let's do it that way then. So let's try and centre the zipper in the middle. Keeping that line in the middle. Right, that's better. That's gone in a bit straighter. Now let's pull the zipper in the middle there. Now I can do the top bit. Make sure you've got the same distance away. Right, kneel down. I might have to Right, so then what you do is, that's what you've just done. What you do is turn it over and pulling that away from the back, we need to sew this pocket now. Yeah, let's sew it from that side, making sure the pocket sides are together. Seeing it 1/4 of an inch from the sides. Mine goes a bit skew there, so it must have that's me. Yeah, right, okay, so I use the top. As long as that zips secure and I've sewn it there, I ain't got to worry about that. Right, so then we're going to use a pinking shears. Well, don't need to. Just cut the sides of the zipper off. Right, the pocket works. There you go. And cut the, I think it says fold it up. Fold the bottom edge. Oh no, to cut this off. It says to cut this off. Level. So that's cut off. There you go. Not quite gone down low enough on that one. That's that side done. Cut all your ends off. Give it a press. Then it says fold the bottom edge of both the interior zipper panels 3/8 to the wrong side and press. I assume, so that's not caught. Let's do that bit again. And then fold them 3/8 of an inch and press. I assume that's to help you later on. Just turn it over a bit. I assume that's what it means. Just a bit, and that'll help when you come to turn it out, I should imagine. So there you go, that's how I'm going to press it, and that's what I've got so far. So take your 2 slip pockets, which is the same as this, exterior back bottom and interior slip pockets, do them right size together. Clip or pin, it depends what fabric you use. This is fabric and woven interfacing. So I'm clipping, but I could pin if I wanted to. And then sew, once you've got them level, sew across the top, right sides together, 3/8 of an inch. So put your stitch length back to 2.5. So that's that one, 2.5, and then flip the panels right side. So finger press it across there, then flick it back over. You could press, so it depends what fabric you're using. Mine's okay. Top stitch along the edge with the 1/8 of an inch seam allowance and base remaining 3 edges together with a 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. So top stitch 1/8 of an inch and based 1/4 of an inch. So I do want to make sure these stay where they're supposed to stay when I'm sewing something else. So put a few clips in round the edge, I don't want that to move. And then I do 3/8 of an inch, or thereabouts. As it's a basting stitch, I'll increase it to 4 so it looks prettier. I always think longer stitches look better when you're top stitching or basting. and then 1/4 inch. So this is your leftover inside lining fabric. This is what you've just done. Clip or pin all the way around the bottom edge, making sure it all matches up. So once you've got them together, make sure you've got the same distance from the tops, both sides, and that'll help to place it as well. Baste it 1/4 inch, which basically you're going over the top of what you did on the other one. I assume that when you put the bow together, the seam allowance will be 3/8 inch, covering these up. So there's your slip pocket already done. In the pattern it does suggest that you do an erasable pen mark and line on the slip pocket 1 3/4 from one of the side edges. They put it on the left. I don't know where. I don't suppose it matters which side. I have marked both sides actually, and this is what they're calling a pen holder. And she says, please do not skip the pocket, or else the slip pocket will be floppy. So we will do as we are told. And I'm still going to use it on 4. There you go. So I now have a pen. Somewhere to put a pen in a slip pocket, look. There you go, just on one of the edges. So now we need your connectors, and this is what we're trying to do. If you've got a bigger one, a bigger set of D-rings, you can actually make that wider. It's entirely up to you. I don't mind having it bigger because this is rose gold, copper, I think it's used. Can't remember, rose gold. So this is what we're trying to do. So what you do is fold it in half, mark your centre, fold the outside to the centre and mark, fold it in half again, mark the centre, fold the two ends to that mark and mark and press, I should say, mark or press, fold and press, finger press. Use a D-ring on one of the ends, and clip both sides to hold it into place. Turn it over. You shouldn't see any other fabric on the other side. That's it. So then you should end up with 2 connectors on your D-rings. So as you can see, I decided to secure mine with a stud, so that's my D-ring, that won't move anywhere now. And then we put it on to the side of the connector, onto the exterior gusset panel, 1.5 inches from the top, short edge and centered. So what we're trying to do now is actually now put this onto the gusset, the exterior gusset. It's 1.5 inches down, and I'm just securing it with that just to hold that, and I'll put some tape at the back of this bottom bit. So let's just show you how I did that, just to help secure it down. I've put the tape on the back, and then it takes forever obviously to take this stuff off. If anybody's got a hint of how to do this, feel free. No. Right, that's that one. That's that one. And then use a ruler and measure 1.5 inches down, and then use your eye and it's supposed to be to the top of there. So right, at the end of the day, that's how I decided to do it. I did this to secure this in, then I sewn one line just underneath to secure it onto the panel, and then I secured the bottom doing it that way, so if you pull it back you can't see anything, and that's the way I decided to secure mine in. So there you go, how you do yours. You can follow the instruction, till it depends what you've used. So clip the exterior of your curves just a little bit on, and I've done this as well. Make sure it's within your seam allowance. And it says to clip the curve edges of both the exterior panels within the seam allowance and mark centres of the exterior front panel. So I've done a few around this edge, and I've done obviously the whole length of both sides of the gusset, because now we've got to fit matching the centre points. So find your centre point of this one, which is, and then just clip your edge slightly. And then just that one, and then put them right sides together, but do the other side as well, ready for when you put the, and then you ain't got to struggle trying to find your fold line. So mark the centre point of that side as well. So doesn't matter which side you start with, they're both the same. I should imagine it's clip, lots and lots of clips I should imagine, and I don't think I've got that many actually, but still, let's clip it all together. And then continue doing that all the way around. So to make this work, I clipped the whole length of both that the back panel and the gusset, and then eased it all in. You can see where at the bottom it's actually splitting to actually make it fit in place. So you might need to be really radical and clip quite a few. The seam allowance, now that is obviously the same picture as that, and it's saying to fold these away. I've got no more clips left, so I'm just going to do that just to keep everything out your way. If you can't do it, just clip these back if you can't do it, if there's too much bulk. Please be aware of where these are. You don't want to hit your, and where your zip also is at the sides. I'm going to put mine on 3.5. Make sure my top starts, and I'm going to make sure I go back and forwards, and the seam allowance is 3/8, and make sure it is 3/8. to the top again. And then just pull she that away because I want to double check, turn it through and double check to make sure I've caught everything I'm supposed to. And I've got no pleats. Right, the zip still works. That's fine. There's all the zip panels gone in. That's good. That's fine. So I'm happy with that side. So that's good. So if I do the same the other side, I've already clipped this. Let's see where we've got to go to next. Right, once you've clipped all your gusset again. This time I'm going to see how it fits in. If not, I can always take it off and then clip it again. You put the one with your flap on is your back panel, right sides together. Make sure you start at the top. You should have you centered. If you haven't centered this one, take it off and try and find the center at the bottom as best you can. You need a little tiny bit out. I've already got the V at the bottom there, so start again, making sure that your top is dead level. And I'm putting a really strong one in that one, that's it. And this side. And the bottom, find your V's, that's it. And then fit the rest in. So once you've got that all clipped on, making sure that you are level at the top and you are centered to hit the bottom, then everything else should go in. I would sew it this way so you could push everything away. Remember that you haven't got a zip on this one, so you can go all the way down, and it's 3/8 of an inch. Again, I want to pull that through so I can see to make sure. Because now's the time I have to do extra sewing if it hasn't worked. I've already checked the one with the zip. And that looks okay to me. Yep, I'm happy with that on both sides. Yeah, I'm happy with that. So let's put it back. Clip all your clips or your bits off. Then using your lining gusset, you do exactly the same with your panels for your interior lining as you did for your outer. So there's your two finished ready. Right, the next bit is where we put them both together. Once you've done your lining, the same as you did for your outside, some exterior fabric, then you unzip the interior zipper pocket. Place the exterior, which is now right side out, inside the lining, which is wrong side out. Make sure you match the exterior back panel with the lining side that has a zipper pocket. So where the zip is, it's your front. So the exterior back panel is where your flap is. Right, so you push that in, and there's your zip inside. So your back panel is facing your zip, and push your flap down. And then push those in, make sure they're down out the way. There you go. And then obviously make sure that your seam, once you make sure these seams are aligned at the sides, and then you fit what's left in the middle, and it should fit if you've done all your seam allowances correct. So once you've clicked it, you've got it in, you made sure both of your gussets are aligned. I've turned my seams out so they're not so bulky, and clipped it as many clips as you want all the way around, and then it says to 3/8 of an inch, and then trim the seam allowance down to 1/4 of an inch and turn the bag right side out through the opening in the interior zipper pocket. So let's just do, I'm going to do it, you might not be able to see a lot because right, I think I managed to save that by taking my bottom of the machine off. Now it says to cut down to 1/4 of an inch, but I quite like the fact that it's all these edges are going to make it add to the bulkiness of it and to make it more, to make it stiffer. So I'm not going to do that. Right, apparently we pulled through the, well, that's a zip, so let's have a look at that one. Right, so once you've finished that now, where you've got your open pocket with the where you didn't sew up, that's that bit there, that's your zipper pocket. If you put your fingers in, and then you should be fill your flap, pull your flap through, start pulling. This is where you're going to birth the bag from out of the, from this small opening where your zipper is. So just keep pulling and keep pulling. Don't take your time. There's no need to rush. So once you have your bag through, then you'll have to, this is why you turn that over in the early video, just pull it together, make sure that it's straight at the edge with your seams, put a few clips in, make sure it's straight at this edge and it's flat. Again, if you want to use the same colour, light blue, then you'll have to change your, or whatever colour you've got. But this is going inside the zipper pocket, you're not going to see it. Pull it apart. And just 1/8 of an inch across the bottom. Now before I push that in, I'm going to cut the edges and like that end there. I know it's going inside, it's going inside the zipper pocket, so you won't see that. So let's just pull that out, you don't need that in. Then I'm going to iron it. So we don't need that bit just in there. Let's cut that off. Just got caught. There you go, I'm going to iron it, push it in. I'm going to iron this, but obviously I can't iron the vinyl. So I've put my label inside for my sister to see that I made it for her. Handmade by Busy Bee. Just there. It's the first one I've ever done. And because it hasn't got a lining at the bottom that was sewn up, I had to put it on the pocket because I didn't have anywhere else to put that. Then we're going to top stitch. Now I'm not going to bother doing 1/8 of an inch. I'm going to do 1/4. And you can do it on this one all the way around because there's nothing to interfere. Make sure that you've rolled the top a few times and made sure the material is actually on the inside and there's nothing showing on the outside of your bag. I'm going to do it this way underneath. I'm going to make sure, obviously I've got black in, so mine's fine. Just get it at roughly about 1/4 of an inch, and I've put my stitch length at 4 because it's thick. Hopefully it'll go over the seams. Into the start. Take your time so you get your start and your finish dead on. And then secure your stitches. So that's top stitched. Now that is 1/4 of an inch, but so far that's what we look like. And then we just got to do the handle. So this is the last thing. This is the strap, and it's 4 inches wide by however long you want it. You turn it in 1/2 an inch each end and press. Turn it to the centre and press, and then turn each end to the centre and then turn over, and then just sew. And then what you need to do then is put through, these are on swivels, so it doesn't matter which way you put them round. pull it through. Then what I'm going to do is put a stud in there, do what I did on here and sew it. I might put 2 studs in actually. So what I did, I sewn it across there to help keep this together. I did about 1¼ inches, and then I've just made the hole. I'm going to put a rivet in. Oh, quite catch that one right. That's it. There you go. So now if I just put them on the bag. Oh, let's make sure it's that way so they face in when it's up. Put that one over. And there you are. So I have finished the Acacia bag for my sister's birthday. There you go then. So there you go. That's one bag finished. There's the zip at the front, and I used chunky zip. And there's the inside of that one. And then I used a smaller but still chunky zip for the inside of that pocket. There's the other side, the slip pocket, and it's got a place for a pen just there. And then obviously a big one for a phone or a wallet or whatever. I like that. That's good. That turned out well. So there you go. It's nice and secure if you wanted to put your phone or your wallet in that one. That's a really big roomy one, and it's secure with a zip. So there you go, all completed. And that's the Acacia bag. And yes, that was quite easy. If a beginner wanted to do that, following the video and the instructions, you should have no problem whatsoever. And there's the back. So there you go. I'm very proud of that. I'm sure she'll like that. Blue is one of her favourite colours. She likes summer colours, cool colours. So there you go. And I've got chunky hardware. There you go, all done. Thank you very much for joining me. Please let me know if you have a go and you like the bag. Thank you for watching.